Thank you because you want us to have hope. You want us to have help. We thank you because all our kids are blessings. They're not burdens. As we talk, Lord, I pray that you teach who needs to be taught, that you help us to go away with hope and not despair. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. If you can go to the next slide. I just wanted us to look at a couple Bible passages before we talk. All right. There's a lot, so I'm just going to take maybe one or two. Okay, I can see it up there. Okay, thank you. Let's open, if the media can help me, with Psalm 127, verse 3. Psalm 127, verse 3. Is it up? Okay. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. So it's important to know that however they come in different shades and different types, different affinities, they are still a gift from God, and we should treat them as such. And then Exodus was the verse in Exodus that we had put up previously. Exodus 4:10 to 12. I was talking with Sister Okwe, and we were looking at like who in the Bible might fit into an autistic person, and there were a couple of them, but Moses was one of them. He was telling God, "I'm not eloquent, you know. Oh my Lord, I'm not eloquent, neither before nor since you've spoken to your servant. I'm slow of speech, slow of the tongue." And some of our autistic children are slow of speech, you know. But God can still use them. I think is the purpose that we put up these scriptures here. So even though they might be different, these are their children, their people, and God can still use them. All right, so we can get into you can now open the slides. A little bit of background. So my baby was maybe 3 years old or so. And then we sent him to a daycare, right? It was sort of his first time going out there. He's had his grandmas and the occasional nannies to take care of him. And we now decided, okay, all the grandmas are gone. It's time to go to school. And that was when the calls started, you know. He would be so panicked that he would pick up chairs and throw them. He wants to go out now. He wants to find his parents. He can't stay. And that was how the story started. So first grade, it was, you know, some meltdowns once in a while. It was difficulty transitioning from math to English or reading, those sorts of things, right? There was the part where he could write, but the teacher couldn't read it because he was so light. Apparently didn't have the strength in the muscles to kind of write things so that you can see them properly. And so that started a process of evaluations and occupational therapy and so on. But the good part, so that, you know, there were, you know, we had to do behavioral therapy, and we had to do occupational therapy, physical therapy. And fast forward 5 years later, he invited his teacher to International Day. So she was right here with us, and she was amazed at, you know, all the beautiful stuff. You know, he's excellent in math. His writing is better. Now at least the teacher can read it. He has trophies in chess and in taekwondo. So yeah. You know, the story is just to say that it starts off challenging, but a lot of good can come out of it in the future. All right, so let's talk about autism. So what is it? I keep forgetting it's here. I like the big screen better. But yeah, it's a neurodevelopmental condition. It means it affects the brain and the nervous system. A lot of kids will have challenges with communication, social interaction, and how they experience their world. In the US, 1 in 44 children will be diagnosed with autism. It's considered a spectrum, so you're going to hear people loosely say, I think this person is on the spectrum. And it's because autism it presents in a variety of ways, right? The kids can have, it might be just, how it might be loud sounds are disturbing, it might be difficulty with talking, it might be difficulty with writing. It presents in many different, it's not all the same, it's different for different kids. If I could get the next slide. So they have different strengths, different challenges, they need different types of support. So the earlier you intervene, the better. Some of the early signs that you can notice, I divided them into social and behavioral. So if you're calling your child's name at 12 months or 1 year of age and they don't respond to you, that might be a sign. If they can't look you in the eye, that might be a sign. Or they're actively avoiding looking at people's faces, that might be a sign. If they're not pointing at stuff, kids like to point to show you colorful things or toys or whatever. If they're not pointing by the time they're 1.5 years old, then it might be a sign. If they're not able to kind of say goodbye or say no or yes or no, or give other gestures to let you know what they're trying to say, it might be a sign also. If they never kind of show you, oh, I like this picture, or I like this toy, and they're 1.5, 2 years, and they're not able to kind of come to you with something that's exciting or interesting to them, that could be a sign. If they're not playing interactive games, pat a cake, some of these games, children tag and run and come find me and stuff like that. By age 1.5, if they cannot pretend play, children should be able to pretend, oh, I'm in a house somewhere else, I'm in a beach by the ocean or something. If they cannot pretend play at all, that might be a sign. One of the big signs could be delayed speech. So they might, be 3 years old and they can't say a word, they can't say a sentence. That's a big sign that they need to be evaluated. So some other things to look at. They like a certain order. That happened to us too. Like if they put a toy in a certain order, you cannot change. If you change anything there, you might just get a big meltdown. So they like order. They like to know things before they happen. You have to lay out stuff. This is how it's going to be today. Today, mommy's not going to sit there to take care of you. I'm going to be in front here talking. So if you come there, you don't see me, go back upstairs or pick up the iPad or something. So it has to be clear instructions. They don't do what changes too good, right? So it might be repetitive movements. Some of them will keep nodding head or keep flapping their hands or keep making certain sounds or keep spinning or something. So if you notice that, it might be a sign of autism. If they have unusual reactions to light, sound, or textures, my kids sometimes during praise and worship close their ears, and that's just, the sound is a lot for them. They've, over time they do adjust, but those are tiny things that you might notice. It might be innocent, but if there's a lot of other stuff also going on, it's something to look into as a potential sign. So small changes might upset them. Like in the classroom today, we're not going to recess outside. We're all staying indoors. Might be a big meltdown just because they're not able to cope with changes as good as other kids. They might have certain interests. For my son is chess. Started playing from young and really just loved it. And he's been playing for a long time now. So they might have something specific. It might be art. It might be just painting, coloring. So it's always good to keep an eye if they're drawn to certain things that they like to do and not like to do everything else. So those are some things to know. And then some kids had the repetition, right? They're going to say, the boy is playing in the TV. The boy is playing in TV. The boy is playing, they can say the same thing 12 times. And you're like, it's okay, say something else. But they keep saying that. So that could be a sign also of autism. All right, let's go to the next slide. So any age, when you notice these abnormalities, it's okay to request the pediatrician or the children's doctor to have your kids screened. They do routinely screen kids at about 1.5 to 2 years of age. If there is any suspicion, they should, take you to a specialist and have the child properly screened. And during that screening, they will observe how the kids behave. They might just put toys there and let them play, and then talk to them and kind of figure out the type of response, the kind of games they like to play, and how they're behaving. They will give you usually lots of questionnaires to kind of help you. They want to figure out where the child needs the most support. Usually they will do a speech and language assessment. A lot of these kids are going to need speech therapy to be able to communicate and talk. And then they're going to evaluate thinking skills, usually called cognitive skills. So they're going to try to talk about these as well. And then they're going to determine if a child needs occupational therapy and physical therapy. We can go to the next slide, please. All right, so these are some tips for home life. The kids would need predictable routines, right? So on school days, you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth and take a shower and eat your food. You get dressed for school, and you'll be at school. At school, the school teacher knows that the routine should also be predictable. So oftentimes, the school also has, they have records and they know, at least you should let them know, so that they can make sure that routines are predictable. If there are changes, the kid is told ahead of time, because they do well if you tell them. So you want to warn them before transition. So today, instead of math, the math teacher is on vacation. So instead of math on Thursday, we're going to do art. Telling them ahead of time, repeating it ahead of time so they know it's coming is very helpful. We talked about routines. It's just the same there. Yeah, and pictures are good for a lot of autistic children. So if you can make the schedule in pictures, draw it in pictures, it works for them. In class, too, they use a lot of pictures for kids. So pictures to show the day's activity, pictures for daily routines are good. Clear, simple language, give them extra time to respond, because a lot of these kids are, they take a little longer to process what you're saying to give a response. So always give a little more time to respond. Again, we talked about pictures. They love pictures, visual support, picture cards, show them pictures. And every attempt at communication, but also in anything, if they don't, if they're not getting dressed on time and they do it today and they did it on time, celebrate every progress. That's important. All right, let's go to the next slide if that's okay. And then they're often sensitive, right? So notice what bothers them. For me, it's loud sounds, but for certain kids, it might be just the tag on their clothing. They don't like the feeling, and they might get a whole meltdown from just simple things, right? So just kind of notice what bothers the child and kind of keep it away. Have a calm space for retreat. So maybe this is a calming down room, or even in class, they have like calming down corners. If you're able to, there should be like a place where they can, if they feel overwhelmed, they can calm down. If they have clothing tags that are bothersome, just take them off each time. When you're giving new foods, you want to be gradual in introducing new foods, because it takes them a while to adjust to anything new at all. And then for behavioral support at home, praise specific behavior. If they say, please, can I have some food? Say, wow, I like that you said, please, give me a high five. Like, do something extra to show that I like it that you said, or you did, instead of going or giving me a sign language, you actually said it out loud. So celebrate every improvement or effort. Use visual cues. They melt down, but it's not because they're badly behaved. It's because they're often overwhelmed socially. So if you see kids like that, just be calm and talk it through. It's really helpful to assume bad behavior because a child is having a tantrum or meltdown if they're autistic. identify what triggers them, and this will help to prevent difficult behaviors. All right, let's get the next slide, please. And then some strategies to help with school success. Often work with the school. They have individualized educational programs. It's written out. They talk to you about it. You sit down in meetings, attend all the meetings, ask questions, make contributions, ask how, if they say, oh, we're going to give a little more time for testing, how much more time, how is this going to work with the schedule of the rest of the class, and just be actively involved, because that also helps the teacher to kind of know what's particular to your child that may be different from another kid who might have autism. Regular communication with teachers, and the kids too. You can ask, did you have a good day at school, and why wasn't it a good day? Did you have a meltdown? Or, and also if there was an issue, talk to the teacher. It helps to be in communication. And ask the school about available therapies. Some classroom support. Oftentimes they have visual schedules. They have timers. Timers are really good for these kids, because if you say, okay, we're gonna read the Bible at 9 p.m. before bedtime, they will remind you 2 minutes before the time. You said 9 p.m. It's almost 9, because they like the timers, and they like timing and regulation, and so whatever they know, when you say something, you gotta keep your word though. They don't like you moving left or right. You gotta keep your word. Yeah, if you can't, you have to explain beforehand, right? So quiet space is good for them for breaks when they need it. They need clear written or verbal or picture instructions. That's helpful. Give notice, tons of notice before a change happens. And then there are peer body systems where they put autistic kid with a regular kid in the class, and when you go for lunch, go together. When you go for recess, go together. Make sure they come back with you when they're coming back. So those peer body systems are helpful to a lot of autistic kids. For homework help. If they have a homework, you can break it into smaller tasks. You can walk for 10, 15 minutes, take a break, run around, do whatever, come back after 5 minutes, let's continue. They're rarely able to kind of focus for tons, long periods of time. So breaking things into smaller tasks and giving, movement breaks are helpful. Visual checklists, like we said, and routines for homework should be consistent. They should have where they do it, and it should be a consistent space, whether it's on their bed, on the table, on the floor. But the consistency matters more than just, okay, I have a little time left. I've been told to wrap up. All right, can we go to the next slide? All right, play and friendships. A role play to practice social situations, right? So we're gonna go to Dana's house. When you go there, they have a jump, whatever. Be careful, no pushing, no shoving, and you'll have only 15 minutes on the jump stuff, and then we have to stop because mommy has to go back to work or something. Like, it has role play. See how you do it, what you should do. It works better than suddenly introducing them to that. They might just have a meltdown. So again, stories are helpful. One-on-one play dates before you do a group activity is better. That way they know the expectations and behaviors that are anticipated or expected. Activities should be structured around the child's interests. My kid likes to play chess, so you can maybe have other kids who love to play chess, and you're more likely to have success taking them out than putting them somewhere they don't know how to do whatever's happening there. Social skills group available in some places and are helpful. Follow the child's lead. They want to do the swing. Okay, let's go do the swing. But don't force them to do something they're not interested in. It might cause more meltdowns than otherwise. Joining in their interests, even if it's unusual, kind of figure out what they like, what is it that's fascinating them, and kind of guide things from there. Introduce things gradually. Turn taking can be really hard, to restrain and kind of let the other kid go before you. So those are things that you have to. Somebody explained this to me that, okay, there's a lot of kids that intuitively, by just looking at people and what they do, they can grasp certain concepts. But for the autistic kid, you actually have to teach them how to behave. You have to teach them how to talk. You have to teach them how to follow schedules. You have to teach them expectations. They don't pick it up the way that we kind of look at things and we're like, okay, here people don't dress like this. They don't get it. You have to verbalize and teach and picture, and they don't pick things spontaneously as well. They will eventually, but not as good as maybe kids who are not. They do well with Legos, and they can use special interests to connect with peers. I think we made the point. Friends with similar interests, structured activities, and that means there's an adult guiding and say, okay, now we're going to switch from Lego to jump rope, So this is how we do it. 2 people are going to hold 2 ends. They're going to swing it around, and 1 person will go in the middle. You will think people will get it by just looking, but for the autistic child, you may have to talk them through. This is what we do, how we do it, okay? And you kind of have to coach other kids on how to play with them, especially when they're younger. And then again, celebrate every small social success. Next slide. I think we're kind of getting to the end. For nutrition, nothing really special. The same way you would do balanced diet, fruits, veggies, introducing new foods gradually. If they're sensitive with texture of things in the food, you can work with an occupational therapist to help you. Restrictive diets are not often helpful, and if you have to do that, a dietitian should be involved because you don't want to cause malnutrition. All right, we're almost. Probiotics is good, omega-3, vitamin D, but nothing's proving to solve the whole riddle. Okay, you can go next slide. Okay, I'll make this, I think this should be probably the last slide. So things that are helpful, behavioral therapy, which they apply